we're going to make chocolate chip scones. I'm not giving exact measurements and all that other stuff, okay? All right. You want the flour, brown sugar, baking powder, cinnamon, and salt. Goes in the bowl. And then at that point in time, he's adding, what you have to do with the butter. It calls for the butter to be frozen. So the butter has to be very carefully cut. We put it in a mini food processor so that it's small. It's very important for the butter to be frozen when it goes into here, and so that you have the frozen butter, and as it bakes, the butter starts to melt, and these little pockets of buttery goodness just melt all throughout the scones. I'm taking my dough blender and I'm going to work the butter into the dry ingredients. Because you want to basically cut the grated frozen butter into the dry ingredients. It takes a little bit of work. And you just keep working at it until it looks kind of crumbly. Because you want to make sure that all of the frozen butter is incorporated into the dry ingredients well enough. Into the smaller bowl beside me is the wet ingredients. For the wet ingredients, it is heavy cream, an egg, and vanilla extract, which of course they need to be whisked separately before it goes into the dry ingredients. Okay, that should be incorporated well enough. I like to take a case knife and get the butter off of here to make sure that we're not missing any of it. Yes, I know, my favorite phrase, waste not, want not. Alright, we're done with that and we can set it to the side. Alright, now, the next thing that's going to go in is going to be the wet ingredients. You want to make sure that you whisk the wet ingredients together well. Break up that egg. And the wet ingredients is going to go into the dry. And yes, try and get as much out of it as you can so you're not wasting any of it. Because the heavy whipping cream needs to be scraped out pretty well because it's thicker and likes to stick to the bowl a bit. There we go. Alright, now the next thing that's going to go in is going to be the Ghirardelli semi-sweet chocolate chips. Most of this is the minis, and you want the mini chocolate chips. We think that the Ghirardelli chocolate chips just taste better and makes the scones taste better than using the Hershey chips. And for heaven's sakes, if you want to give this a try, please do not buy any knockoff generic brands of chocolate chips. Just trust me on that, okay? Alright, so you want to mix it up. You want to mix the wet ingredients into the dry. And just incorporate it in so that you're turning into a dough. You do not want to overmix or overhandle the dough. If you do, you could make your scones tough, and you don't want to do that. Alright, that's pretty good. get that cleaned off so we don't miss any of the good dough. And set this to the side. All right. And for the chocolate chips, you want to make sure that and you put a little bit of flour in here, right? You want to make sure that you put a little bit of flour in here so that the chocolate chips do not sink to the bottom of the scones. You want the chocolate chips to hopefully incorporate all through the scones. All right, my hands are already clean, I promise. All right, so now you want to use your hands and get those chocolate chips all into the dough and mix it all up really well. And you want to get it mixed up. Yet again, you want to do this as quickly as you possibly can because you are dealing with frozen butter and you don't really want to give the butter time to thaw out. And you want to work it into a ball. And it's hard to do. You just kind of have to keep working with it. And the powdery parts, you just kind of want to work it into the ball. Because you don't want to leave anything out. Now, this is not an easy job. It's good for your hands, your arms, your shoulders, your muscles. Good workout. Because normally when we make scones, we do 4 to 5 batches. And it takes about a half an hour to do a batch. So by the time I'm done with this, I've had quite the workout for the day. Not that you would see any difference, but at least I think I'm giving myself a workout. Okay. Now we've gotten it all mixed in. And for this recipe, since you're not putting fruit in here, and we will show you one other quick video of making a fruit scone, your ball is going to be dry because you're not, even though yes you put wet ingredients in here, you're not actually introducing wet stuff like fruit. Alright, so now we're going to place it on a pan lined with parchment paper, and we're going to, I told you this is a workout. We're going to push it down and try the best that we can as we are pushing it down to keep it in the circle. We're turning the ball into a circle. And you want to push it down evenly, I think about 1.5 inches to a 2-inch thickness. You do not want to press it down any thinner than that because, number one, again, overworking the dough can make tough scones, and nobody wants a tough scone. So you just have to keep working with it just a little bit more. Press it out, and you want to do it evenly so that you don't have thin spots and thick spots, because you want it to all cook evenly. Alright. Get a little bit of extra dough off my fingers. Yeah, I know. Waste not, want not. Alright, now the next thing we're going to do is Kevin's going to cut them so that we go ahead and form our cuts for our scones, because you do want to pre-cut. And while he's getting the pre-cut done, I'm going to wash my hands real quick. Okay guys, we'll start something to the camera. Tell them what you're doing. Okay.
final circle is about a 3/4 inch thick.
Okay. Now he's got that cut. The next step that we're going to do is he's going to brush on heavy whipping cream to the top. This is going to help give it a nice glaze, because instead of making a confectionery sugar frosting, this will take care of it so that you don't even, that's not required. So he's going to get the heavy whipping cream brushed on there. Then the next step that we're going to do is we're going to sprinkle sugar over the top. And this is going to help give a nice, a little bit of a crunch, but it'll make, basically we're making our own homemade glaze over the top essentially. And it makes the scones just look really nice and pretty. Okay. All right, so we're just going to sprinkle a light dusting of the sugar on the top. That should be good enough. Okay, these are going to go in the oven, and you'll see what these look like later